From when we're young, we make stories up about what things mean. Not a lot of them are based in fact. Obviously some are. Some do represent the way the world works. A lot of the time it's our perspective about something. And so being able to recognise that your perspective is not perhaps the only perspective is a really great healing tool.
I've always been a big believer in the mind-body connection, and what we hold onto emotionally can manifest in our body physically. Stress from everyday experiences like fear, grief, anger, or anxiety can stay trapped in the body, showing up later as tension, pain, or even chronic illnesses, what some call disease. Today's guest, Dr. Bryony O'Callaghan, helps us understand exactly how this works. She's a qualified and registered acupuncturist, Chinese medicine practitioner, and a specialist in Neuro Emotional Technique, also known as NET. In this episode, Dr. Bryony breaks down how unresolved emotional stress can affect our bodies and behaviours. She explains how NET can be used to help release stress in our bodies, and it's a great alternative to Western medicine. I know I've tried it personally. If you've ever struggled with unexplained pain, emotional triggers, self-sabotage, or health issues that just won't go away, this episode is a must listen. So take a moment for yourself, get comfortable, and enjoy this insightful and empowering conversation with Dr. Bryony. Welcome, Bryony, to the D8 Training Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited about this conversation, especially after having a session with you a couple of weeks ago and experiencing such good results. So doing the NET and the acupuncture. But let's start with a bit of a background. What drew you to acupuncture and then eventually to Neuro Emotional Technique?
Acupuncture came to me through my own personal healing journey. So when I was about 27, I had what I like to call a nervous breakthrough. I just was burnt out. I had been burning the candle at both ends. A friend of mine was studying to be an acupuncturist. I was so stressed. He was like, just lie down and let me put a needle in your head. And I thought he was crazy. Anyway, I let him do it. And it was the most amazing feeling of release. And I felt so calm from being so stressed. That was it for me. I decided that that's what I wanted to do. I spent the next few years doing some other things in order to get enough money together to study it and all of that sort of jazz. It's quite an expensive degree. And then I made it happen. Haven't looked back since.
Well, you mentioned you had that release. Like, what was the release? How did you feel?
When I look back at it now, I was literally having a panic attack, and without knowing what a panic attack was at that point. I think I was very naive to health dis-ease. I had always been extremely fit and healthy person. I'd never really been sick. Nobody in my family has been sick. So I was just really naive to all of that. So when it happened, I was completely shocked and blown away. But I had a racing heart. I was sweating. I thought I was going to throw up. My mind was racing. And so it just fully calmed, and everything just calmed, and I was hooked, really.
And that was after one session?
Yep.
Wow.
I mean, I continued to have some issues and I needed to work through them. And obviously, I think with anybody, there's no magic bullet out there for any health issue. But I was committed to getting better and I wanted to find an answer. I didn't want to have a Band-Aid put over something like, oh, take this pill and you can just continue with your life as it was. It was really, for me, a wake up from the universe that I needed to get it together and sort of look deeper and see what it was that was causing how I was feeling and get to the root cause, which is why I love acupuncture and NET, because that's what it's all about. It's all about getting to the root cause of things and actually making permanent change in your body.
And I'm a big believer. Medicine has its place.
Absolutely.
There's importance there, but I do feel that a lot of it is stored in our body over time, uncomfort, and we ignore it, we push it down, and then that causes some of the disease. What exactly is NET, Neuro Emotional Technique, and how does it work?
So NET is a mind-body stress reduction tool, and it is used to remove unresolved stress responses from your body. From a neurophysiological perspective, stuff happens to us during our lives, and after the trigger is gone, our body is meant to make that extinct. And if it doesn't, then we are left with this thing we call a neuro emotional complex. Things then happen in our day-to-day life, and then that is re-triggered. And when it's released, it releases neuropeptides in our body, which control our hormones and the release of cortisol. Our body becomes stressed and having a stress response without our knowledge a lot of the time, just continually triggered by things. And because we're not listening to our bodies a lot of the time, we miss them. And so we just feel horrible. Our body manifests those things physically and mentally, but a lot of the time physically. Over time, people end up with a sore back and a sore knee and a sore hip, asthma and digestive issues and whatever it is. But the root cause of that is this unresolved stress response.
So this unresolved stress response, what's an example of how we get that in our body?
For example, you might be a small child and you might be at home with your parents and they are fighting. You would have a stress response about that. Sometimes it's because of a nutritional deficiency, sometimes it's a meridian deficiency from an acupuncture perspective. Those stress responses don't clear out. So once your parents stop fighting, that stress response should go away. You're safe again and your body should switch back from being in a sympathetic state to being in a parasympathetic state. Sometimes that doesn't happen. And so then you might be out, it's 20 years later, and two people have a fight that's got nothing to do with you. All of a sudden, your stress response, you become heightened. And that's not because of those two people that have got nothing to do with you. It's because of an unresolved stress response from when you're 3 years old and listening to your father and mother fight every night. Yeah. That's one example anyway.
I know something that I worked through was there was a time Mum and Dad had a fight and then I blamed myself. And now that I look back 30 years later, it had nothing to do with me. I might have triggered it, but it wasn't my fault that they were fighting. It was something else. Whereas I held on to that for years and it wasn't until I released it that it went. But I remember being triggered and feeling guilty if something similar happened, going, it's my fault, and blaming myself.
From when we're young, we make stories up about what things mean. Just sponges taking in everything in our environment and making stories up, narratives about what those stories mean and how the world works. Not a lot of them are based in fact. Obviously some are. Some do represent the way the world works. A lot of the time it's our perspective about something. And so being able to recognise that your perspective is not perhaps the only perspective is a really great healing tool.
Actually, I was having a similar conversation with my daughter. Well, you're making up a story. You might as well make one that works for you because our reality isn't always the actual reality.
And the thing with NET, when we're working with people with NET is about your emotional reality. It's not about a historical reality. A lot of the time it is your historical reality, but I've no way of proving that it is or isn't, and neither do you. A lot of people are like, oh, this is really weird. This thing has come up and I'm not sure if it really happened exactly like this, but this is how it feels and what I've taken from it. So that is what we take, your emotional reality. But it's very much an emotional reality.
So if a client comes in to see you for a NET session, what might they experience? How does it work?
Well, generally we sort of go through how to do an NET, the process of it. So using manual muscle testing, and I explain how an NET works. There's two different ways you can do an NET. We can go in through your body or we can do a mind entry. And so if we're doing it through your body, then we're making contact with the place that you have a problem. So it might be you have a sore knee, and so we will touch the knee and then check to see if there is an unresolved stress response attached to that area using manual muscle testing. And if we find that there is, then we have to find out what that's about. And everything in life's either about money or love. So it's about the material world or the world of relationships. Your relationship with other people, theirs with you, and yours with yourself. Go sort of through those steps to find out what it's about. And then from there, we have to see which meridian it's stuck in. basically. And so we check which meridian it's stuck in. In Chinese medicine, each meridian has an element, and every element has a theme of emotion that goes with it. By finding what meridian it's stuck in, we get down to a theme of emotions, and then from that we find the word that is the emotion that it is for you. And then you have to put those two things together as the patient. And then what I'm looking for is you to have a response to that, your neurophysiology to come to the surface. And so we might talk about it like, oh, what does that mean to you? And how do you feel about that? But it's not because I'm interested in the story. I'm not interested. I care deeply about my patients. It's more that what I'm looking for is for you to have a physiological response, because once that physiological response is up, then that's what I'm getting rid of. And that's what we remove from your neurological patterning, basically. So there's that way of doing NET through your body. And then the other way is by you making statements called personal declaratives around what you would like to be, what we call okay with. And okay is about being as near to neutral as possible. It is not about your preference. So sometimes we might do an NET about something that's quite difficult. For example, someone may have died and you want to be okay that they died. It's not your preference. It's about being emotionally neutral about the fact that that happened. And so that stress response is cleared. Basically, people come in and they have lists of things they want to be okay with, and sometimes they're things that they know have happened in their life. I'm okay that my parents divorced. I'm okay that I lost my job. I'm okay that my children spend time with their father. Whatever it is, it can be whatever. Or it can be about things they want for their future. I'm okay winning a race. I'm okay lifting 100 kilos. I'm okay buying that new house. I'm okay having confidence. If you can put it into a sentence that says I'm okay, then I can make an NET about it.
So when we go, I'm okay with being confident, when I come in to see you, what is it that you do to put it inside my body? Because anyone can say, I'm okay with being confident out loud to themselves in the mirror.
So what we're checking is if you've got a response to that. So by using your voice as like an auditory stimulus, then I'm checking your manual muscle test to that. So you would be saying, I'm okay being confident, and I will test to see whether you can hold your arm strong during that time. And if you can, then you're congruent with that statement. But if you can't, then it's not.
I can say in the mirror, I'm okay being confident, but you can actually test to see whether it's true or not. So I can say it for years, but if I don't believe it and I'm not confident, it's not going to sit in there. Whereas by you testing it...
Well, I can test to see whether it is. It's one of those things that your body doesn't lie. If I test it, if your arm drops down, then you can pretend that you're confident till the end of time. You're not. It doesn't mean you can't be successful pretending to be confident, but there's an incongruency there. And so by fixing that, well, we don't fix things, we fix cats, don't we? Yeah. By removing the stress response, you allow the person to reach their full potential.
When I came in for my NET session with you, I really firstly appreciated what a safe environment that you created. And then something came up for me that I didn't even know was there, or that I was holding on to it. I think I'd even forgotten about the memory. And I couldn't speak in that moment. So instead of getting me to speak about it, you just asked me to hold on to that feeling and that memory, and you did NET. And then I just felt this release. How is that possible that I didn't even realize I had that emotional energy stuck in my body? And then what kind of impact can that have on me without me knowing?
So when you have an unresolved stress response, your body is releasing cortisol. And cortisol in the short term gets us up and doing things, but short term, when we have it in the long term, cortisol causes damage to our body. That chronic stress state is unhelpful. It makes us sick. It's the root cause of so many diseases. When you're in a stressed state, your body, we call it fight and flight. The opposite of that is called rest and digest. So you can sort of work it out that if you're always in a chronic stress state, then you're not resting properly, so your body's not recovering, and you're not going to be digesting properly, so you're not going to be absorbing the minerals and vitamins and nutrients that you need in order for your body to function properly. So long-term stress, you end up depleted, and that's not a great place to be.
Definitely not. I was amazed that I was holding on to it, and then that release, I was like, I didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, generally people just report feeling light afterwards. And I guess the thing is, the true test of NET is that then going back into that stressful event and then you don't have the same response. So it might be whenever, I don't know, I can't even remember because the story's not important to me, so I don't even remember what your NET was about. But let's say it was something to do with your family. Every time you got to go to your family's house, you have this like feeling, I don't really want to do that. It's going to be stressful for me. I don't enjoy spending time there, which for a lot of people, those days are difficult. Christmas, Easter, there's a lot of pressure. Everyone's going to those events, that sort of thing. But then you'll get to that and then you'll be like, oh, I don't feel like that. Oh, today was really lovely. I didn't have any of that normal feeling that I have in my stomach, or I didn't look up at anyone. It's really hard to describe.
It's the best feeling. Like, I know there was someone that was triggering me. This was a while ago. Then I met up with them again because I had to. They didn't bother me. They still said their same smart aleck comments, and I was just able to brush it off. Either they've changed or I've changed, but I don't think they've changed.
Yeah. For me, one of the most profound NETs I've had was I was really scared of flying. And I didn't know why I was scared of flying. I remember as a child, I loved flying. We used to go away for sport a lot and we'd fly, and I loved that. I've never been in a plane crash or any near plane accidents or anything like that. But as an adult, I have noticed that I really don't love it. And I would be nervous and I'd want to get to the airport really early, and then I'm a bit of a nightmare to be around, allegedly. I was flying home from a conference with my girlfriend, and we both do NET. We were in the plane and it was the worst turbulence, and I was terrified. I grabbed the poor guy next to me's hand. Anyway, that was it was an awkward moment.
Hopefully
but I think everybody on the plane was kind of scared. Like, it was really full on turbulence, and I just was like, give me an NET right now in the plane. And so I stuck my arm up, and because all my physiology was up, I was in that terrified state. And we did the NET. And it went back to the original event of it being when I was 15 and at the show, and I was on this ride and I hated it. It was called the Hurricane. I don't know if you've ever been on it, but it's like goes like this noise anyway. And I was on that ride. I just was terrified and I wanted it to stop. Obviously, it doesn't stop until it stops. Anyway, I did the little breathing thing and she tapped on my back in the plane, and I sat back up. And I did. I just was like, and the plane was still rocking around and I was fine. Since then, I have flown to America, to Japan, to Morocco, to lots of places around Australia. It's just so different. Like, I get up in the morning. The last time I had to fly, my husband was like, we're going to miss the plane because you're so relaxed.
That's amazing how you change from something from 15 years old, unrelated, or it was still on a ride, to now.
Yeah, the feeling in my body of being on that ride, a ride that goes up and then it drops down and up and down, is very similar but different to that feeling of being on a plane. I flew again with my girlfriend. I noticed how she was really stressed, and I was like, oh my God, you are really stressed. Are you okay? And she was like, I am always like this, but you've never noticed because you've been so stressed. And so I'm always looking after you, which makes me feel better. But now I don't have to look after you, and I'm now feeling really stressed. Not every NET is like that. Some of them are really subtle, and you go away thinking, oh yeah, okay, I cleared that another layer of something. That really profound difference.
Is NET for everyone? Are there people who respond better than others?
No, not really. I think you need to be of sound mind while you're having an NET. So you need to be sober. You need to be present. People who aren't present, it wouldn't be recommended for. But other than that, there's really no restriction. As long as you can hold your arm up and I can test your muscle, and we can test any muscle in your body. It doesn't have to, we normally do the deltoid, but it doesn't have to be that muscle. If you didn't have any arms, you can do it with your legs, you can do it with anything, any other muscle in your body. My youngest patient is 3, and for children, we have a different, the emotions are all written out as much simpler words. So instead of being resentful, you might be mad. So there's other terms to use. And then also we've got like emoticons for really young children so they can point to how they feel. So there's lots of different ways to do it. I think the most important thing is that people are open.
Is there much for kids to clear at such a young age?
Oh, I think so. You're taking the world in from the moment you're born. For some people, the origin of these events. Conception in utero, you've been pregnant.
Yeah.
Stuff doesn't not happen when you're pregnant. Sometimes stuff really happens when you're pregnant. And for a fetus inside, they're taking all of that in. They've got your stress hormones going through them. As young children, people experience loss, people experience difficult times. The other thing about trauma and NET is that not everything has to be what we consider to be trauma. I mean, trauma is about your body not being able to integrate the experience. So something can be really small and actually still be perpetuating that stress response. So many people's NETs go back to their schooling, things like having to stand in front of the whole class and talk, or being berated in front of the whole class, and they make a story about themselves. I'm not good enough, or, oh, I'm not allowed to ask for what's mine. For example, was about their little friend next to them borrowing their pencil. And then when they asked for it back, the teacher was like, I told you not to talk, now get up and get out of the classroom. So for that person, they had made a story up about, I'm not allowed to ask for what's mine. It's not okay for me to have a voice. And people shut themselves down, and that's not okay.
Actually, I do remember once with my daughter, actually not once, often, when she was probably about 18 months. When you're a baby and people see babies, they go up to the babies and go, oh, look at you, right in your face. And you think this is a giant adult coming into this little kid's face. And we started getting to functions, and the first 15, 20 minutes, she was quite shy and timid. Well, she wasn't shy because as soon as she overcame that entrance, she was fine. And I thought about it, if someone did that to me, I'd push them away, go, what are you doing? You're crazy. And then we started working through it and coming earlier and getting her to be comfortable, and she overcame it. But I also started calling it out to people, going, hey, how would you like it if I did that to your face? Jokingly, that could actually affect children.
Absolutely. And we take a lot of how we are in the world is the programming we've downloaded between conception, well, being born, and about 7 years old, where we don't have that conscious memory, but we're just downloading. We're just like big sponges, and we just download, oh, that's how that works. Oh, right, that's what men do. That's what a dad does. That's what a mum does. Sponge it all in. And then we go and live our life on this program. It's like if you were still running your computer on Vista or something. It's like they become redundant as a program.
Dial-up internet.
Yeah, but we're still running our physiology on that program, and it's not helpful.
I love this. I knew I wanted to have you on to share what NET can do because, well, I've seen the results personally. I think we all hold on to something that we can release. Can NET be used in combination with like strength training, doing gym?
NET can be used in response to anything, depending on what your goals are. If you set goals, then making sure that you don't have any stress responses around meeting them is really good for being successful with them. For example, you might have someone who comes into the gym and firstly they could be not feeling great about their own body image. NET is about like, I'm okay with my body. I'm okay doing my weight work in front of other people. I'm okay looking in the mirror. A lot of people have got issues about these things and they don't talk about them. They just don't go to the gym, or they come to the gym and then they don't feel great about themselves because over in the corner's old mate lifting 500 kilos with his bicep and you've got your 1 kilo weights and you're struggling.
It's hard. Like when you're watching there and you're like, oh, why are you lifting heavy? I'm not good enough. Whereas we're not programmed as a society to go, hey, just focus on yourself. This week you lifted 1 kilo. Next week you're lifting 2. That's a big achievement. It doesn't matter that they're lifting 40 over there.
Yeah, but we compare ourselves. And so to be able to, I think in a gym setting, I know lots of people, because I'm encouraging people to do exercise because Chinese medicine is a holistic medicine. So it's looking at your whole body. So it's not just about what you're in there for that day. But I'm encouraging people to go to the gym, and lots of them are like, oh, I don't like going to the gym. I don't like being with other people when I do my exercise. I feel ugly. I don't look good in my tracksuit. I went with my friend, but she's getting better much quicker than I'm getting better. All of those sorts of things that at the end of the day stop people from wanting to participate, and it stops them from being the best version of themselves. If you can clear out that stuff, then that person can come and do it, and then they don't care that old mate's in the corner lifting 40 kilos with his bicep, and they don't even care that he's a bloke and they're a girl, and that they didn't do their hair before they came to the gym, and all of those other things that I think really hold people back.
And there's even the bit where you can come to the gym but you're scared to go up in weight the trainers are fantastic. They'll encourage them, the slow steps to go up, and then they'll do it and they'll try, and it'll be like, oh, I can do it. It's not as hard as I thought in my mind it would be.
I'm okay lifting heavier. I'm okay if I fail. Sometimes you go up and then you actually can't do it because you're not ready. And then that stops you from progressing further. I remember years ago doing some NET and acupuncture with a professional athlete. They played a team sport at a professional level. It was things like, if I make a mistake in the first part of the game, then I'm really in my head for the rest of the game, and then I don't play well. Clearing things out, like, I'm okay if I make a mistake. I'm okay being really good. I'm okay if I'm better than other people. I'm okay if I'm not as good as everyone else. I think there's a lot of potential for people at the gym and people who are professional athletes and who want to be the best at what they do to clear out anything that's unresolved that's in their way.
So with this athlete, were you able to clear that?
Oh, absolutely, yes. They thought I was a witch too, because obviously I just used one needle. It's a bizarre feeling to be very, very sore physically after training, like you can't even touch my legs, they're so sore, to putting the needle in and then it being gone. It is a weird sensation.
The needle's obviously acupuncture. For someone completely new to acupuncture, can you tell us a little bit about it?
So acupuncture is based on the meridian theory of traditional Chinese medicine. In traditional Chinese medicine, we use herbs, we use acupuncture. There's a thing called moxibustion, which is the burning of Chinese herbs, tip of the needle or on your body or just away from the body. That adds heat. We do cupping, so that's a traditional Chinese medicine technique. Qigong, which people might have heard of, or Tai Chi, so that's the Chinese exercise. And we do Tuina, which is Chinese remedial massage, which includes things like gua sha, which is something that's become very popular nowadays with people gua shaing their face. Chinese medicine has a lot of techniques that we use to basically open your meridians and balance the elements in your body.
What's the effect or the outcome?
So in Chinese medicine, we say where there is no flow, there's pain, and where there's no pain, there's flow. If you can have all your meridians all open and everything's flowing, then your body's physiology is doing what it's meant to be doing. And so then dis-ease is not a thing. We're trying to reset your body to homeostasis from a Western perspective. By the type of acupuncture that I do is called neoclassical acupuncture, and I palpate your legs and abdomen, and then I just use one needle most of the time. It's sort of like finding the switch that opens up your meridians and turns you back on, like the light switch turns on your lights.
So it's opening up and being in flow.
From a physiological point of view, would be taking you from a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state.
Back to where we should be. What do you say to people who are skeptical of the energy work or holistic methods like in acupuncture or NET?
Most of the time I say to people, don't knock it till you try it. I mean, a lot of people will be like, oh, that's garbage or whatever. I've had patients come to see me and I'm like, so what can I help you with today? And they're like, well, I don't believe what you do, so I thought I'd come and try it. And now they're my regular patients because you can't dispute it when you actually physically experience it. I mean, and there's always non-responders in every kind of medicine. For some people, acupuncture isn't the thing. Some people don't like it. They don't like lying there. They don't like having a needle in them, the thought of having a needle in them. Normally, I'll give them an NET about that if that is a problem. But most of the time, 99.9% of the time, people get over it once they experience it because the benefits outweigh the having the needle.
So if people want to experience it with you, how can they find you, book in with you?
Well, I'm on Winston Avenue at Door Park. I've got a website, beacupuncture.com.au. You can book online. You can also ring the clinic and speak to the receptionist and book in a time. Yeah, there's socials, there's Facebook and acupuncture.
I know when you want to book in an appointment with Bryony, get in early. There's a few week wait as well, and there wouldn't be if you went fantastic.
I think my
next
appointments at the moment are in July and we're in June, in June. So I think it's at least a month now to wait for a new appointment, but it's worth it. I think anyway. I mean, if you're scared of needles, I have a laser. Like, there's other ways of doing it. You don't have to have a needle if you're scared. And for NET, a lot of people aren't ready to feel their feelings. They're not ready to do their work. And that's okay too. We all get to where we get to in our own time. And often people will say, oh my gosh, I wish I'd done this years ago. If years ago you weren't ready, then years ago you weren't ready. And I think that the most important thing we do is be kind to ourselves.
When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When you're ready, the right person will appear. Yeah. So if you're listening to this could be a sign. Booking with Bryony to see. I'll put everything into the show notes for everyone. Actually, one thing that I did like when you did my session was I was ticklish, and I just thought that was normal. Whereas after the needle, you cleared that and then you touched me and I wasn't ticklish at all.
Yeah.
So I've booked in for my son because he's really squirmish. So looking forward to seeing the results with him.
Beautiful. I can't wait.
Yeah. Just to finish up, what's one thing you wish everyone knew about emotional health and the body?
I wish people knew that what they feel and don't deal with manifests. There's really no escaping it. Your body keeps score. Nothing is ever as scary as you think it's going to be. People are so scared to look within. I know I certainly was, but sometimes you're pleasantly surprised. But even the most traumatic thing, and people think, oh no, but my trauma's so big it's never going to be able to be better, but it can be. And I have seen that over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's amazing how the mind can build things up and the stories to make. Sometimes when I think about everything I need to do, it's not until I write it down I go, oh, that's only going to take me an hour, not the 10 that I thought.
Yeah. Mind is a crazy little thing. Yeah. And I think sometimes it needs to be reined back in. And we've all got that little voice in our head that isn't very kind. And to shut her or him down, it's not a bad idea.
Well, sometimes I say the things that I say to myself, if I was to say it to one of my friends, they wouldn't be my friends anymore.
Yeah, no, we're very mean to ourselves, and that's why I think that being kind to yourself is important, and cutting yourself a bit of slack.
And lucky last question, what does dominate mean to you?
Dominate. If I'm dominating you, then I've got power over you maybe, or I'm better than you. I don't know. If I'm going to dominate my field, then I'm the best at it. I would think that I'm a leader. I guess it depends on which context it's in.
Great response. That's our standard question we ask.
Oh, okay. Is that what D8 means? Like dominate?
Well, that's what it came up. But actually D8, if you look at it, it says date.
Okay.
But we thought it would be dominate, and that's why we put the 8, and then it's like dominate the competition, but more within can go in any sense. But how do you to dominate yourself in the gym, be the best version that you can be.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was fantastic. Appreciate you being so generous and sharing all your information.
Thanks for having me. And if anyone ever has any questions, you can always just email me and I'll get back to you. Sometimes not that day, but I'll definitely get back to you and answer your questions.
What a powerful episode. It's incredible to realize that the stress responses we carry in our bodies, sometimes for years, can be released. And even more empowering is knowing that we can start to be okay with things like being confident, winning, training around others, whatever you want. I loved the valuable insights that Dr. Bryony shared, and also how she gave us options when it comes to healing beyond just the Western medicine. Tools like acupuncture and NET, which can help you get to the root cause of stress and create lasting change. I highly recommend giving both acupuncture and NET a go. I've personally experienced them and found incredible benefits. One of the biggest changes personally for me was that I stopped being triggered by things that used to bother me. For example, a moment with my dad that used to make me really angry, I was able to laugh off. Even my kids have had sessions and I've seen a difference in them too. I truly believe in exploring different modalities. I'm always trying new things. I'm always trying to get different guests on the show, and then you can find what works for you. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. If you know someone who's in pain, struggling emotionally, or facing a health issue, please share this episode with them. And if you found value in today's show, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. It helps us bring more amazing guests like Dr. Bryony to support you on your journey to better health. Until next time, dominate your life.